In a small town called Owode, there was a famous food vendor named Auntie Bimbo. Her restaurant, Bimbo's Kitchen, was always full of people. From morning to night, customers lined up to taste her delicious meals. She made the best jollof rice, spicy stew, and the best pepper soup ever. Everyone in the town and from nearby villages came to eat at her place. It didn't matter if you are rich or poor. People from all kinds filled our restaurants every day. The other food vendors in the area watched in disbelief. No matter what they did, lowering prices, adding new dishes, or offering discounts, no one could attract as many customers as Auntie Bimbo did. She never advertised nor used fancy signs. The people just came. Some vendors whispered to each other, trying to figure out her secret. How could she be so successful when they were struggling to get even a handful of customers? But there was one strange thing about Auntie Bimbo's restaurant. She never allowed mirrors nor dogs inside her restaurant. There was no mirror in the dining area, none in the restroom, not even a small one hanging behind the counter. Customers found it odd, but they were too distracted by the tasty food to ask her about it. Whenever anyone tried to bring in a mirror into a restaurant, Auntie Bimbo would kindly ask them to put it away. Mirrors are not allowed here, she would say with a soft but firm smile. The food vendors nearby gossiped about it. Why doesn't she allow mirror? What is she hiding? Some said it was just an odd rule, while others believe it had something to do with her secret to success, but no one knew for sure. One day, a curious food vendor named Solah decided to visit Bimbo's kitchen to investigate. Solah's own restaurant was struggling. She could barely make sales. She had become so desperate to know why Auntie Bimbo was doing so well. She arrived at the restaurant early, hoping to get some clues before the crowd arrived. She sat down, ordered a plate of jollof rice, and kindly observed the place. While waiting for her food, Sola took out a small hand mirror from her purse. She pretended to check her reflection, but she was actually trying to see how Auntie Bimbo would react. Just as she suspected, the moment Auntie Bimbo saw the mirror, her expression changed. Her smile faded, and she hurriedly moved over to Shola's table. "Please," Auntie Bimbo said, her voice low but serious. "We don't allow mirrors here. Could you kindly put it away?" she said firmly. Shola pretended to be confused. "Why? It's just a mirror. What harm could a mirror do to your restaurant?" Sola asked. Bimbo hesitated for a moment, her eyes scanning the room to make sure no one was listening. Suddenly, the mirror fell off from Sola's hand and scattered to the floor. Shola was so shocked and confused. How come this mirror fell off from her hand? She knew deep down that she was holding the mirror so tight. How could the mirror that she was holding so tightly fell off and smashed into the ground? She was confused, and she stood up from the restaurant and walked out, looking at Bimbo with suspecting eyes. Shola went to tell other food vendors that are close by to her experience on how she went to Bimbo's restaurant and the mirror accidentally fell off from her hand and splashed to the ground. They were confused and shocked as well. One day, Mr. Timmy, a well-known dog seller in the town, he had a habit of stopping by Bimbo's restaurant on his way to the market. Mr. Timmy loved Bimbo's food. He was one of her best customers. He always praised her jollof rice and pepper soup, saying it gives him the energy he needed for his long days at the market. But there was one problem. Mr. Timmy always came with his dogs, the ones he would sell later that day. Whenever Auntie Bimbo saw Mr. Timmy approaching from a distance with his dog, she would quickly hide in the kitchen or slipped out of sight. She had a good reason for this. As a ghost, Auntie Bimbo knew that dogs could sense what human couldn't. They could see her they could see through her disguise and recognize her true form. They would bark and glower at her, exposing her secret to everyone in the restaurant. But one busy afternoon, something unexpected happened. The restaurant was packed with customers more than usual. Auntie Bimbo was rushing from one table to the next, serving plates of steaming jollof rice, fried plantain, and chicken stew. The noise of clinking plates and happy chatter filled the room. She was too busy to notice Mr. Timmy walking in with his dogs. Mr. Timmy, like always, entered the restaurant with his three large dogs. They were all trained and quiet until they saw Auntie Bimbo. As soon as the dog laid hide on her, they froze in their tracks, their hair perked up. And then, as if they could sense something unnatural, they began barking loudly, their sharp barking echoing through the restaurant. The sudden noise startled everyone. Customers turned to look, confused by the dog's strange behavior. Mr. Timmy tried to calm them down, tugging on their lashes and whispering to them, "Quiet, what gotten into you?" he said. But the dogs couldn't stop. Their eyes were locked on Auntie Bimbo, who had just realized what was happening. Panic flashed across her face as the dog continued to bark and pull at their lashes, desperate to get closer to her. The customers began murmuring among themselves. "What's wrong with the dogs?" One of them asked. "Why are they acting like that?" Another whispered. Auntie Bimbo felt a cold sweat on her forehead. She knew the dogs had sensed the truth. They would see her for who she actually was, a ghost. If she didn't act quickly, they would draw more attention to her, and the customers might begin to suspect something was wrong, but it was too late. One of the curious customers, trying to understand the dog's behavior, said, "Why are these dogs barking? Okay, I think a mirror can actually dictate why the dog are barking." She quickly pulled out a hand mirror from her bag. She held it up to see if there was something about the room that was causing the dog to react. As soon as the mirror caught Auntie Bimbo's reflection, the truth was revealed. In the mirror, Auntie Bimbo no longer appeared as the friendly, smiling woman everyone knew. Instead, her true form was visible, a ghostly figure with pale skin and hollow eyes, her face worn and tired from the years spent in hiding in plain sight. The mirror trembled in the customer's hand. As she gasped in shock, the room fell silent. The dogs, still barking furiously, were now backing away, terrified of what they saw. Mr. Timmy, confused and alarmed, stared at Auntie Bimbo, not understanding what was happening. "Auntie Bimbo," he stammered, his voice barely audible over the barking. Auntie Bimbo looked around her room, her heart sinking. There was no more hiding. Her secret was let out. With a deep, sad sigh, she faced the frightened customer and said, "I'm sorry, I never meant to deceive anyone. I just wanted to feed you all, to bring some joy and comfort through my cooking." But the customers, now realizing the truth, slowly began to back away. Some left their seats, started running out of the door. Others remained frozen, unsure of what to do. Mr. Timmy, still holding onto his dog, stared at Auntie Bimbo with wide eyes. You are not human," he said, his voice trembling. Auntie Bimbo nodded. "No, I'm not. I've been here for many years, born to this place. The mirrors and the dogs, they see the real me. That's why I kept them away. I didn't want to scare anyone. I was killed at an early age by my uncle. I didn't have anywhere to go, but I love to cook. That is why I opened this restaurant, to cook and put smiles on the faces of people." With that she said, she turned and walked towards the back of the restaurant, disappearing into the kitchen. The dogs, finally calm, stopped barking, but their eyes followed her as she left. That was the last time everyone saw Auntie Bimbo. The restaurant, once full of life and laughter, was closed the next day, and no one knew what had become of her. The town was left with a haunting story of the ghostly woman who had fed them for years, and now her secret has been finally revealed by the barking of dogs. Mr. Timmy, now without his favorite place to eat, will often pass by the empty restaurant with his dog. Though the dogs remained short, the story of Auntie Bimbo, the memory of Auntie Bimbo kindness and her secret lingered in the town, leaving behind more questions than answers. The end.